Welcome back, I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. Here at our NYSE studio, of course, we have our Palo Alto City connecting Wall Street and Silicon Valley, part of our CUBE and our NYSE Wired brand, a CUBE original where we merge capital market coverage with technologies, our AI Factory series. Allen Salmasi is here, Chairman and CEO of Veea, Inc., distinguished legend in the industry, really pioneered the Qualcomm business around CDMA, among other things. Next Wave, bought by AT&T, wireless guru, expert. Great to have you on here on theCUBE. Thanks for coming in.
Thrilled to be with you. Thank you, John.
One of the things we've been talking about here on theCUBE in the past 3 months is this notion of a hyperconverged edge.
Yes.
And the idea that AI factories will come to the edge. And it's pretty easy to connect the dots when you see all the AI factory conversations, the big data centers. But when you go to the edge, you got to play in the wireless world. Your company, Veea, is doing wireless. It's at the edge. It's connections. There's multiple spectrums involved. It's kind of a soupy mess because you have different companies doing different things, different infrastructure. If that all collapses with an AI factory, it changes wireless. What's your reaction to that? What would be your commentary around this scenario?
Yeah, I totally agree with you that this is probably the soupiest mess that anyone is going to tackle anytime soon. But we think that we have addressed it to a large degree because at the macro level, there are 5 structural type of trends that are effectively converging. And the most important one is the fact that effectively AI needs to become context aware and low latency in order to have real world applications for many of the use cases. So we have designed a network architecture and implemented a number of solutions that allows for AI to be applicable to many, many different use cases, regardless of if it's for logistics or healthcare or transportation. Really customized around those use cases with the right chipsets and ultimately the right AI factories.
NVIDIA had a special event, a GTC, which is their main conference, which is next month here, not here, but in San Jose. But they had one in DC a couple months ago, and they announced the Nokia relationship around 6G, but there's some other things going on. I had some briefings from the NVIDIA folks. It's clear that they're coming out with some reference architectures. Cool. So NVIDIA sees AI, their AI, basically I call it NVIDIA, they're bringing the AI to the edge. In my opinion, they can see the tell signs there. They kind of talk about it, but they talk about Nokia 6G. But okay, if NVIDIA is AI, they're bringing AI to the network. Yeah. How do you see that evolving, and how are you thinking about it with Veea? Because you got the network architecture, you have your radios, wireless access device, multifunction. Are you thinking, be ready for the AI factory? Are you building it that way? How are you viewing your vision?
Yeah, we are completely aligned with that vision that Jensen articulated at GTC in Washington, DC, and discussed it on the panel or on the stage with Nokia. Effectively, they developed a open RAN type of architecture roughly about 4 years ago that was first tested by my colleagues at Vapor in Las Vegas. And what they've done since that trial, they have completely opened it up and made it open source. So effectively we are piggybacking off of the work that NVIDIA had done on Open RAN to extend it all the way to the edge. Because when you get into terahertz range of frequencies, now effectively every small room is going to have some type of a radio head. So it's fully distributed in terms of radio communications. But that has to be aligned with completely in sync with a distributed compute type of capability. So our architecture supports a compute mesh as well as microservices mesh on top of this radio.
So the radios are forming their own networks architecture.
Exactly.
Compatible with where factories are going.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Dynamically and real time.
Okay, so I know Cole Crawford, who's your colleague you mentioned that had Vapor, is working with you. He and I have talked about on theCUBE securing the network in a post-agentic AI world. Now, agents are coming, so you got agents working. How do you see that playing out? Security, all those things, throughput with compute and security with the radios.
Right, that's essential. So that's the second element of this structural change that we see at the macro level, because effectively you have communications and cybersecurity fully intertwined and integrated as one fabric. And it's totally embedded into all of the connections that you make on a zero trust basis, because frankly, unless you can trust the AI agents that you're connecting to, you are not going to really have physical AI introduced at the edge.
I have to ask you, since you're here, since you're an expert, one of the things about AI factors that got my attention right away was the fact that they really focused on networking. Networking as the key to success to bring all these interconnects together, these resources. Networking is, you're in the networking world. I mean, you get radios, you got the edge. What's the opportunity for Telecom and NVIDIA, and how do you see your relationship with NVIDIA evolving?
Right, so I really believe that this is a huge opportunity for telcos to effectively come out of this dumb pipe type of service offering and really provide for a lot of value added into the use cases that are running at the edge. And effectively for that, there are a number of architectures that they can integrate into their telco infrastructure, especially given the fact that we used to have these huge SS7 switches at telco aggregation points that are no longer the case, because the core network has shrunk into smaller racks of equipment. Now, they have a lot of facilities.
So their network access points are going to be very compatible with compute.
Absolutely. This is a huge play for telcos to effectively introduce.
And they got the data and they got the network, so they should make money on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they don't, they're idiots. You can't say that. I'm sure there are a lot of smart people thinking about it. But well, I'll be banging my fist at MWC because they missed the wave with the cloud. They cannot. Telcos cannot miss this wave. Do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And they have the facilities. They have the cooling. They have all the wiring in these thousands of locations that are referred to as telco aggregation points. But it's just really a question of how they architect it and how they effectively integrate that into their existing infrastructure.
Well, Alan, you're getting deals are happening here in theCUBE. You're getting all kinds of phone calls. I have to ask you to wrap up. I know we got a tight time today. I'm glad I could squeeze you in. I really wanted to talk about the edge. Talk about your business, your vision, what's new. Give a plug for what you're working on.
So we announced a supply agreement with América Móvil and their subsidiary Telcel back in August of last year. And we had 9 million of revenue the year before, but we totally pivoted to focusing on businesses that can scale very rapidly, primarily through telco partnerships. So América Móvil is the largest operator in the world at the moment with Telcel, Telmex in Mexico, Claro throughout Central and South America, and A1 Networks in Europe, 200 million subscribers. And what we have brought to the edge of their network is fixed wireless access with cybersecurity, AI-driven use cases and applications, including surveillance cameras, a number of IoT solutions, all bundled into one small device, roughly about the size of an Apple TV.
So the new radios are going to get smaller, connect to systems with compute, connect to these aggregation points with this power, cooling, so the infrastructure is there for all the telcos and all the providers.
Right, absolutely.
Allen, great to see you. Thanks for coming on. And I really think what you're on to is super relevant. The hyperconvergence at the edge will happen. It's obvious. The question is, will the incentives be there? Will people figure it out? Will the companies align around data-centric architectures that are AI enabled with AI factories or equivalent devices? I mean, DGX box is this big.
Yes.
That's an AI factory, in my opinion. Yeah. And you're seeing startups already doing that now with their AI on their desktops. Yeah. They're already buying.
AGX Store with 2 petaflops of AI acceleration.
The new AI factory PC is coming. It's here.
Exactly.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Again, the wireless is a key part of the network at the edge. Networking is what makes AI factories work today, and there's plenty of networks in the edge. A lot of data, a lot of use cases. It should be an explosive area of opportunity, wealth creation, value creation, and extraction, all going to be happening at the edge, I think, in the next 12 to 24 months. We're doing our part to keep an eye on that. I'm John Furrier. Thanks for watching.